Hello and welcome to Channels Television special coverage of the Ondo governorship election. We are at the St. Stephen's Anglican Primary School in the Ijomu area of Akure, the capital city of Ondo State. Welcome to this continued coverage of Channels Television of the Ondo State governorship election, everyone. Now, it's the day that everyone perhaps have been waiting for. The election day, weeks upon weeks, months, and now we were counting days, and now we're just minutes away for when the polls will officially open. Well, you can have behind us the sight of what you could be seeing in a couple of hours for several hours, because people will start coming in, trooping in into this place. This place was somewhat a beehive of activities in the last few hours, at least in the last 2 hours, because this is a collation or a distribution center for most of the personnel and materials here around this place. So largely what we have seen is personnel moving in and out of these areas, trying to distribute materials, trying to load up materials onto the vehicles. We've seen several of the buses and the vans that are taking out materials from this place. Let's give you an understanding of what to expect, what this place look like, Ondo State. What do we know about this state? First and foremost, southwest Nigeria. This is somewhat a passage road to several communities outside of this area. So when they say they're locking down the state, it does mean like some people may not be able to have a passage onto some other states. It borders about 4 or 5 states. It has about 1.8 registered voters. Out of that, about 1.4 had collected their permanent voter cards, leaving over 3,000 that have not collected their permanent voter cards. So we are invariably expecting about 1.4 million people to come and vote today. Will they turn up? We'll be waiting to see. The names are already on the wall. They're coming and checking, and at 8:30 a.m., this exercise will get underway. Let's get started, everyone, shall we? I have some people who are going to be analyzing for us from the point of view of the activities of YIAGA and the organization logistics, and also from the point of view of security. Let me quickly introduce my panel tonight. This morning, I have Ezenwa Nwagu. He's a board member of YIAGA Africa. He joins us, he's an election observer. Thank you, Ezenwa, for coming today.
Thank you, Shehu.
Thank you. And Vince Onyekwelu is a former British police officer and is a security election observer here for the Ondo governorship election. Vince, it's good to have you again. We were here, we were on the field in Edo, now we are here again. And I think it's good for us to start by looking at what we saw in Edo, and perhaps in the start of this exercise, what we are saying and what you make of these exercises up until today. YIAGA came forward to say there are hotbeds, listed about 11 or 10 local government areas that are hotspots. Ezenwa, what do you see today? INEC in the start, in the last few minutes, what are your thoughts?
Well, I'm hoping that we up the punctuality index for Ondo. As you know, Shehu, in Ondo, most of the city center polling units did not even start on time. So we're hoping that from what we have seen, especially from where we are at this point, we've seen materials go out before 8 o'clock. And that's hoping that in the next few minutes, 8:30 precisely, when the polls will open, that we'll have majority of the polling units across the state waiting to receive voters. And that will signal a very important worry and concern that we had pointed out, that yes, we had Edo that was a virtually plain land, but for 7 local governments that are, but most of Ondo is coastal in its configuration, and that poses huge challenge for logistics. We want to see how INEC and the security agents will be able to overcome the challenge of logistics that the topography of the state poses. But all in all, we are seeing excitement from citizens. I've seen a very septuagenarian just here now, waiting to be accredited and vote. That shows you the level of enthusiasm here. And like you know, the Ondo people are known to be enlightened people. They are sophisticated, and it's showing out in the kind of enthusiasm that we're seeing this morning. But Seun, we pointed out clearly in Edo about the respect for the COVID-19 protocols. We'll still be watching out to see how that is playing here.
Because,
and that,
when we were having this conversation in the studio, in the pre-election studio yesterday, one of the things that I was told by the INEC and the security officials was the fact that this time around, you don't have a face covering or face mask, you will not be allowed to vote. We talked about the fact that even those who are supposed to implement the protocols were not also observing it in Edo, but this time around, it does look like, looking around, most of the police officers and the ad hoc officials now have their face coverings. Vince, your thoughts?
Honestly, I think when it comes to the issue of safety based on COVID-19 protocols, we shouldn't worry much about the police officers. Why I say that, if a police officer is centered to stand watching from an angle, most times they've got what they call the social distancing around them. So once they are social distance from the crowd, it's not mandatory that a police officer must wear their face mask. But once they are clustered together, it becomes mandatory. But number two, I think we need to accept the idea of the timekeeping we experienced in Edo, whereby by 8:30, 8:45, and 9 o'clock there was no voting. We are believing that this time around in Ondo, that it wouldn't be the same. And as you said before, Ondo is surrounded by about 6 states. You're talking about Osun State, Ekiti State, Ogun State, Edo State, Delta State, and Kogi State. And then dangerously towards the Atlantic Ocean. So you've got about 7 surrounding natural reserves around Ondo. So it's more critical. But let me assure you, I was at Elaje last week, and I was impressed with what I saw in Elaje. I saw the air wing of the police set up an air surveillance system to monitor what happens in the creeks and in the swamps. That was very encouraging. Then there's this center in the creeks. It's more like a roundabout in the waterways. Wherever you're coming from, you must pass that particular roundabout in the water areas. And the military are well stationed there. As in, nothing can pass into those creeks without passing that roundabout. It's more like an Atlantic roundabout, but it's been secured. I think what we have to expect from INEC today is one critical issue that's been worrying us in Edo was the issue of people vote trading, what we call vote trading. When people thumbprint, they use their camera phone to snap a picture of their voter's card to show to somebody who's going to give them money. I think INEC must be on top that nobody uses their camera phones to snap their voter's card.
But unfortunately, Vince, everyone knows this very much. In terms of what the law says, INEC is handicapped when it comes to being able to arrest the issue of vote buy. INEC can only observe, INEC can only take notes, but it cannot do anything because INEC is not empowered to be able to do that.
You know,
that's the unfortunate thing.
anytime I listen to my brother, I see a lot of territorialism, being a security man. The issue of law and order enforcement in election, you can't joke with it. If, for instance, INEC has made it very clear that you do not come to the voting area with your cameras. The reason you have security agents, 3 security agents per polling unit, is that they maintain law and order within the precincts of the polling unit. So the challenge, therefore, is that the INEC officials are APO, presiding officers, APOs, they are dealing with voting accreditation and the rest of them. Then they have monitors who are going around. The man who has the responsibility to say, hey, you can't go in there with your camera, doesn't do that. And then we say, oh, INEC is going to have to do all of this and that. And then the stakeholder arrangement around the election is to be able to cover all the spaces. There is a place for security agents, and law and order enforcement, law and order regime within the polling unit area is important. If you talk about, first and foremost, that if the law is that you do not come in here without a face mask, if you are a security man, you must lead by force of personal example. Leading by force of personal, you can't be telling somebody you are not wearing face mask when you are not. it diminishes in reality the capacity to enforce that law. So the point is that is either we are interested in maintaining law and order or not, but it boils down to our attitude to elections, general attitude to elections. We make these laws, we put them out as guidelines, and we are not interested in enforcing them.
It's interesting because, you know, we've had this conversation around how can INEC have an authority on, we talked about the Electoral Offences Commission and how INEC will be able to stand if they make a policy on do not do this, do not do that. They tell you simply that we do not have the powers to be able to enforce it to the very last moment. But just for a moment, if one of our cameras can look around, let me give you a feel of what this environment, where we are at, so that you can get a sense of how this place looks like and what is happening. Is 12 minutes after 8 a.m. and what we'll be seeing in the next couple of minutes, say in about 15 minutes, is the official commencement of voting exercise. So if you can see just behind us, stationed security operatives, what we've been told is that at every polling point, there are 2 polling points just in the background where we're standing right now. What we know, according to the procedure, is that there must be a 3 police officer per polling unit. They are unarmed. Outside of this area, there might be armed police officers, but within this area, there won't be any armed police officers. So what you can see there, of course, I think that's on your screen, is 2 of the 3. There are 3 actually in that picture, and of course you can see how the stage, that polling unit is already being stationed. Of course you can see a DSS official standing by. I mean, it can't get better than the kind of deployment that we're having for this kind of election. It's a staggered election, but what we're seeing is how much of the effectiveness of what we are seeing in the deployment will play out today. So if the camera also can give us a sense of how the polling unit looks like for now, the setting up of the ad hoc officials, they're pretty much set. If you look at them, pretty much set for the exercise to begin. The sanitizers on the table, the cubicles are already set, and we are hoping that this will get underway essentially. So Vince, 2 lines are going to, we're going to have 2 queues, an inner queue and an outer queue. The rule is within the inner queue, there must be the 1.5 meter gap between one voter and the other. But essentially, it is not supposed to be a medical or surgical face mask. You can, in the least, have a face covering. Isn't that enough?
Yes, it is enough, because one thing we need to know about safety of COVID-19 is when those microbes that's supposed to get somebody infected, for example, if you're supposed to be about 1,000 microbes that's supposed to make somebody to be sick, if you can be able to use any kind of face covering to cover it down to 3,000 microbes, that is not strong enough to get somebody sick. That is a breakdown of the microbes that carry the virus, example. You understand me? So any sort of face covering will be safe and secured for everybody. But the bottom line is we must appreciate that across the world, this is not the best time to run elections, because human beings are human beings. They are difficult to manage. When it comes to the social distancing, once the lines start to get jam-packed, people are going to start to jump the queue, talk to their friend, talk to their family member. It becomes challenging. And I think we ought to be very careful about the COVID-19 spread, because right now across the world, across Europe, across the US, governments are beginning to shut down their schools, their everything again because of the rise of COVID-19 again. So I think the issue of COVID-19 management is very, very critical in this particular issue. Let me talk also about the issue. There's a difference between police and policing. It's not the same thing. A police is a special professional trained to manage special crimes. But policing is the job of almost everybody. The army are involved in policing, because if there's a public disorder, the army will come out. It's part of policing. The NCDC is involved in policing. Even you and me, if we see somebody who is doing something wrong, we should be able to say, we saw you, we'll be a witness in the court of law if there's any. So policing is different from police. So I think if you want to get the police to be more effective, reduce the number of jobs you give them. so they can give you high level of efficiency. But if you give them all the kitchen sink and mama put work, it makes them to be confused in doing their job. For them. So I think the INEC should be able to create a process that will not overstress the police in supporting them. Right. When it's issue of people voter buying, they should design a better process to reduce the chance of people using their cameras to take a picture of their voters card.
Right. Vince, let's take a look at the deployments. We have 30,933 conventional police officers. Special agents are 2,850. Other security formations, 3,500. Military are to man borders. And the total personnel for this election is about 33,783. Vince, that for about a population of less than about 5 million people, for registered voters of about 1.8 million, invariably 1.4, because just about 1.4 have their permanent voter card. So that for you in terms of deployment, it's too massive, it's too much.
No, it's not. Now, when it comes to the issue of global standard in policing, now it's expected that one police officer should be taking charge of not more than 100 human beings. That is the international standard, 1 to the ratio of 100. Now, the population of Ondo State is 3.9 million people. The number of people that have got their PVCs are 1.4 million people. So if you divide 3.9 people by about 40,000 security agencies, the police, the DSS, the Navy, the Army, the NCDC, you find that we've got about 40,000 personnel. This is aside from the intelligence asset of the police, which we can never quantify their number because they're on covert. You will not know how many they are. So we are getting about one police officer or one security agent to about 90 people, which is within international standards. So I think that's a good point for the law enforcement agencies. However, I believe they've put in so much resources, so much men, so much effort to cover this. But there's what we call hand of God in law enforcement. It's also in the law of thought. Hand of God is that issue that we are standing under a tree right now. A branch can pull off and just fall on the floor. It's not planned. It's the hand of God. So I believe, apart from the hand of God, I believe the law enforcement agencies are enough. Ratio of 1 to 90 to secure us, except if there's any unforeseen issue of hand of God in the whole issue.
We pray hand of God does not play.
So there is what is called scenario building, and the scenario building part of this whole exercise is to factor in the possibility of hand of God, and if you factor that in, you are able to anticipate that if this happens, and I think that is part of what we expect, and this brings us to the issue of value for money. Okay, 33,000, 40,000 intelligent assets, and all of those things must eventually mean that this election must be protected in a manner that gives us value for money. And what has happened is that we've had regime of excuses. We've hosted regime of excuses as to why this happens, and
there is a scenario, and we can provide. Just a moment, if one of our cameras can just give us a view of what is happening. It seems some kind of commotion just around where we are right now. That kind of situation, of course, cannot be unexpected, because these are human beings that we're talking about. There will be disagreement, and there will be, of course, people who are not happy with one thing or the other. So that kind of situation, of course, we hope that security agencies are on top of the situation. This is a very densely populated area of Akure. We hope that nothing like a hand of God will play out like Vince and Aiden were trying to describe. But we take a breather, and when we come back, of course, we'll be giving you details of what you need to know as far as Ondo governorship election is concerned. This is Channel Television, your home for the news. We are the headquarters of election coverage in the nation. Stay with us. We'll be right back to give you all you need to know as far as information is concerned. We'll be right back, everyone. Hello, And welcome back, everyone, to our continued coverage of the Ondo governorship election. We are right here in the St. Stephen's Primary School in Ijomu area of Akure, in the capital of Ondo State. And I've been hanging out here for the analysis. Ezenwa Unwago is a member of the board of YIAGA Africa, an election observer in this election, and Vince Onyekwelu is a former British police officer, a security consultant, and is on the ground here also to cover it, to monitor the election. Thank you, gentlemen, for your time this morning. And so let's just give you an update of what we know so far. In the next 4 minutes, this election will get underway officially. Voting will commence. What is happening in other parts of the state? Let's bring you up to speed, especially in the Ondo Southern Senatorial District. My colleague Dare Idowu is standing by to give us a sense of what he can see and feel in that area. Dare, what can you tell us as of now?
Thank you, Sheon. We traveled from Akure this morning, and I'm reaching you live from Kiribo. Kiribo is in the south. Akure is in the central. Let me give you an idea before I come to this particular unit, polling unit. Traveling down here, we saw a lot of security presence on our way. The military manning several points, the border lines across the state, a lot of them, and they're restricting movement. There's a particular visual that I sent to Lagos earlier. We saw a lot of people held back, that they're not being allowed to enter a particular territory. The whole idea is, if you don't have any business on the road, you're not supposed to be there. If you don't have any accreditation, any pass that you can be on the road, they will not allow you. So before we could make it down here this morning. Now let's talk about this polling unit. I've had a conversation with the electoral officer here, and she's taking me through the process. This is how it works. This is a primary school, Meth Primary School in Kiribo. If you get here first, you're supposed to be outside because they're trying to control the crowd in line with the safety protocols. You all know what is going on, COVID-19, and they are trying to play safe by not allowing everyone to come in at once. So there's always a queue outside. Then when you come in, there's going to be another queue. The first thing, if you are here without checking whether you are eligible to vote or not, that side, on my right, people are checking their names. When they're done checking their names, they come to this desk, blocked by people at the moment because they're trying to get the final instruction before they start voting. It's 1 or 2 minutes before 8:30, and voting will start. On that desk, they check from card reader to another desk on the form, and when they have that form to vote, they go cast their ballot on my left, far left, and that is the process. They said they expect the process to go smoothly if people cooperate with them, wear their face mask, comport themselves. Security officers, agencies, all of them are around here, and we're expecting to see this process go on for the next couple of hours before poll close. Back to you, Sheon.
Thank you so much, Dare, for that report there. So thank you. Dare is in Ondo South area of Ondo State. So let's give you a sense of what is happening right now. The PO is addressing voters because the election will get underway in a matter of a minute. And of course, the voters are on the queue already. Of course, we can see they're addressing and giving them the breakdown of how the proceedings will take place within the next. Well, we are on the dot of 8:30 a.m. So the queue, the outer queue has been initiated right now. You can see there. elderly, the young, everyone that needs to be on that queue, as far as the fact that their name is on the voter register that we can see here. They are on the queue, and in a matter of minutes, they will come forward to go and vote. Let me also tell you that it's not only the voters that you will see, you also see party agents representing the different political parties that are going to be witnessing how the process is going on. Ezenwa, for you, election has started. Your thoughts?
Yes, so it's significant, Seun, that the presiding officer here was very emphatic about that, whether people are here, the party agents are not, that on the dot of 8:30 that is going to commence accreditation and voting. And that for me is really critical, is important, and I'm pretty excited about that. And I just hope that this kind of interest in making sure that the rules of the engagement are followed, as we have seen displayed by the presiding officer here, is something that cuts across everywhere. It's going to be gladdening, for those of us who are election enthusiasts and are interested in how these things are carried out.
All right, if the camera can stay on the PO as it's addressing, let's get the sound of what is saying and what this means. Earlier on, there was an incident you heard gunshots. There's some people scampering just here in Ijomu area. And what do you make of what we are hearing on the preliminary is the fact that someone might have been injured as we speak. We do not know the details for now, but that is information that we get, that someone may have been injured. We've heard gunshots around this area, Vince.
You see, one thing about us from the International Human Rights Commission, who is the commissioner I represent here today, we are very critical and very serious about the issues of human rights abuse during elections, and we take it very, very serious. Now, what has happened there, we had gunshots, but surprisingly, it seems that peace has returned along the street again. The scampering has stopped, and I think what we need to realize about this, the election is a very serious situation. There's what we call trend analysis. The trend in Nigeria has been the issue of banter, the issue of violence, the issue of fighting. But surprisingly, Sheun, during my 2-week stay in Ondo, one thing I've realized is most of these issues of violence or scampering is not even linked to any political party. At times, it's thugs or touts that have previous personal issues. It could be something as small as a face cap given by a political party or a T-shirt. That is, it's my own, it's my own. It's been long that you're looking after me, it's been long you've been insulting me, and they start to fight. You think that it's political party agent? No.
Sometimes it's not even.
It's not even linked to they're not even politicians. They don't even have a party. It's just homeboys trying to claim their superiority, their territory, to show that I'm the boss in the area. At times it's just a face cap. At times just an old problem that's been there for the past couple of years. The election has kind of triggered again. That's on the one side. On the other side, I'm impressed with what we are seeing here. By 8:30 a.m., the PO commenced, and I'm impressed. And I think if you're watching us from any part of Nigeria, the issue of social distancing, as we talked about, is going to be a challenge.
It's going to be
because if you look around you already, you can see that that issue of social distancing has disappeared already. Yeah. And people are not wearing face masks. As I said to you before, Sheun, people need to understand the importance of face masks. If we're not wearing one because we're keeping social distance between yourself and myself, so we don't need to wear one. But if you're not keeping social distance, a pathogen from a cough can just pass through you to somebody else if there's no face mask. I think with the face mask, you can reduce the viral load of that pathogen when you sneeze or when you talk. So I think it's worrying that people are not wearing face masks. Not everybody, a high percentage are not wearing, and they should be wearing their face masks.
All right, Vince, just for a moment, let's give our viewers a sense of what is happening around us. We know now that the voters are already queuing up, and some of them are waiting in line to get started. If the cameraman can give us what the explanation that is being made is very key and germane to this process of what needs to be followed, how it needs to be followed, what they need to do, and how they need to go about it. And of course, the explanation has been going on for the last 7 or 6 minutes. And so it's basically giving them some kind of orientation of what is happening. Let's take a moment to just listen in and watch what is happening.
Tí aago méjì àbọ̀ bá di àwọn tó bá wà lórí ìlà nìkan ṣo ní aago méjì àbọ̀ yẹn wọ́n máa ní ẹ̀tọ́ àti kọ̀ntínú ìbò. Àwọn tó bá dé ní aago 2:31 wọn náà padà àti ìbò mọ́ o. Tó ẹ̀jẹ̀ bá wà kó gbogbo àwọn èèyàn yìí nílé pé 2:30 là ní jẹ́ káwọn èèyàn dìbò mọ́ o. Bọ̀dẹ́ni tó bá sì wà lórí ìlà ní 2:30 ní aago méjì àbọ̀ ó máa náà pàdé àti ìbò. Ẹ ṣe púpọ̀. So ẹ bá wa tò ẹ kọ́kọ́ lọ wo nọ́mbà yìí kẹ́ bá wa tò. No ọ̀hún lẹ̀ ṣe máa tò sí i. Àwa la máa tò yí wá sí ibà yìí. Ẹ bá wa tò.
When are we ending?
All right, that moment has come when they will need to get themselves organized for this exercise. And so the anxiety and the anticipation is what you can see right now. You heard all what the PO was explaining. And, well, much of the excitement is just getting underway now. And what we're seeing is that people are getting ready.
Yes, I told you about the septuagenarian. She's here right now, as you can see. And many of them have come out and is excited. But I talked about attitude to elections. I don't know if you've gone to the banks in recent time during this COVID period. You will see that because people are thinking in terms of money, their attitude to respecting protocols is very high. In the banks, they maintain social distance. They wear masks because they've been told they can't come in without masks. But our attitude to elections is something we need to keep working on. More significantly is that you have presiding officers who seem to understand, who have acquainted themselves very strongly with the manual for election officials, and that really is important for us. And happily, we are going to be seeing all of this play out in Ondo within the next few hours. But what is even more significant is that we are in the midst of this. We are in the midst of this, and people can feel the energy.
Absolutely.
Viewers across the world can view the energy.
You mentioned something,
Yes.
And it's the fact that we have the elderly. So let's capture this quickly. The manner in which the hand sanitizers are being applied, some of the protocols that are being observed right here. The elderly are being given some kind of concession, and this is interesting. It's exciting to behold some of this process as they happen and how this is playing out. All right, so it's going to be a difficult one, but I guess they're going to overcome the challenges. And you can see right there, hand sanitizers being given to them, and the thermometer with the officials. That official has his own intact, and this is what we are expecting. I'm excited that in the preliminary, we're seeing some basic understanding and the follow-up to this.
So this is the greatness of Channels TV, that you can put this, this analysis not in some room where we are not having a feel, we are not taking the energy. I don't think any other station does this in terms of the ability to give you real energy in elections. And I think that underscores what election reporting should be about. It is not a theory. We can feel it here now. People are their hands are being sanitized, thermometers are being checked, and all of that. If this is what is replicating across the polling units in the state, I'm sure my man Vin will be excited that we have a good election in Ondo State.
I am already excited, Shehu. Yeah. One of the things that made me to be excited is, with all due respect, the PO of this particular. I'm impressed with the gentleman.
Fantastic.
One of the things.
So, what is done in the early stage is kind of information. He's loaded them with several minutes of information.
Wonderful gentleman, and this is what you create when you choose the right people to lead our commissions or our agencies or our departments. He started with asking them, because I said a bit of Yoruba. He said, does everybody here understand Yoruba? They said, we all do. So he spoke to them in their mother tongue, in the language of their heart. So everybody was well informed about the process he is going to use to show fairness, credibility, equity, and equality. And that's commendable. And number two, he's gone about to show leadership.
Just a moment. If we can capture this quickly, this woman cannot be less than 70 from the look of it. I'm so excited. It's interesting to see just how the aged and the elderly are turning up for this exercise. To exercise a franchise, you can't get it better than this. For the aged and the elderly to come and turn up for this exercise, it gladdens my heart that if young people are staying at home, you can see how the elderly, the enthusiasm and the kind of help that she's getting from the officials. I think this is coming good. And there you go, yet another elderly that is coming, and the kind of help that they are getting from the other officials gives a sense of the fact that this is going in a way that is so exciting. We're in the midst of it, in the ocean of the activities that are happening right here in this environment, and the long queues that we are seeing here. Vince, I think it's some kind of very interesting episode.
It is very interesting. I think, Shehu, the message will be, if you're watching us from home and you have not made a move to go to your polling unit, please get up and head to your polling unit. It is safe here. It is secure here. The elderly are here. The young are here. Come out to vote. This is your time to cast your ballot. It's very important. We can assure you that we can believe that what we're seeing here is the same thing across this beautiful sunshine state of Ondo State. Please come out to vote. It is safe, it is secured. Come and cast your ballot. It's very important to your future. It's safe.
All right. There might not be a measuring tape. Let me step out just for a moment and make life a bit difficult for my colleagues. So just for us to be able to get a sense of what is happening. This is the inner queue, I suppose. This is the inner queue, I suppose. The man will be able to measure perfectly the meters that is required. You can see some level of distancing that has been expressed here. And of course, if you look closely, just behind me is the process of accreditation that is ongoing. Accreditation is ongoing here, and basically is a process of getting you started the COVID-19 protocol over here. And so far it's been going on so good, and there is an outer queue just behind us, and there is the inner queue. From some of the things that we know theoretically, we're seeing them play out practically, isn't it?
So that's the beauty of being on ground and feeling this energy, but like we say, the number of polling units in Ondo State, I hope this is representative, and in a few minutes after leaving you now, we will take a little tour of some of those polling units and get a sense of how much this has been replicated outside. But it goes without stopping this discussion without commending the folks that we have seen here. I think they are exemplary. I think INEC must note that when these trainings are properly done, they will get the kind of results that we have seen here. And more importantly is the dedication of the young people, the core members, and the assistants who are helping the aged and giving them that sense of covering. And you know, making sure that they have quick access to do that. And those are the things that are in the protocol anyway. The election manual for election officials is very clear about how to deal with the vulnerable, the aged. In fact, there is supposed to be two sets of lines. One for the aged and vulnerable, and then the other line. But because of the exigencies of time, we don't always get to see that. But I think in some significant way, people are beginning to, maybe after Vin has spoken, there is a sense in which there is a turnaround here.
So let me quickly give a tour, since Theophilus is over there, I mean, giving us a sense of what is happening. Over there, just above the queue, is the voter register. You see people those who are coming, they're just getting their names, getting to check their names on the voter register. In order of activities for every voter here, that is your first port of call. You go there and check your name right on the wall. So when you check your name and you ascertain the number or your serial number on the register, then that time you will then join the queue. The queue is getting longer by the moment. As soon as it was 8:30 a.m., the queue becomes longer and longer, and it thins out when people then move from that queue. And if we can show what is happening here, we can see even the ad hoc officials are on their surgical gloves, and they are fully on their face mask. There is an official who is administering the check of the temperature and hand sanitizer. Let's take a break there, and when we come back, more updates right here on what is happening in Ondo governorship election. We take a break, and when we come back, more for you right here on your home for the news. Stay with us, everyone. Thank you so much, and welcome back to our continued coverage of the Ondo governorship election. We are right here in the St. Stephen's Primary School in Ijomu area of Akure. Few moments ago, we heard gunshot, and we are understanding that one person might have been injured in that process. Whether that gunshot we heard was on a person or was in the air, we'll find out as soon as we get more information from authorities, from the police, and we understand that, of course, that person had been taken to the hospital. It's just a few blocks away from here. It just started just at the entrance of where we are standing. Vince Onyekwelu, a member of the International Human Rights Commission, and Ezenwa Nwagu, a member of the board of YIAGA African Election Observer, who are were hanging out with me in this party that has become a festival of some sort. It gladdens my heart, and I cannot stop talking about this hero of democracy, the woman who was taking her time, all dressed, girly dressed, and she's looking well ready, and they're taking her to get to vote. I mean, from what we understand in political science, election is a festival of democracy, and this is playing out, isn't it, Ezenwa?
Yeah, so like to keep repeating. I just hope that we can get this feel elsewhere. When we have this view about election in this polling unit, our excitement should be tamed, because we must tame our excitement until we are able to have
the feel around the over 3,000 words.
Cut the joy in finding
from what we see on the ground.
And more importantly is the determination of Ondo, this manifest determination of the people of Ondo State to do this as we are seeing now. When we came in here at 7:30, and we were in this place, I'm not sure we were up to 20 people.
Absolutely.
As soon as it was 8:30, it was like there was a call.
Yeah.
And Dean has made that call that people who are watching us from their homes, who have voters card, the permanent voters card, cannot now stay in the cocoon of excuses and blame and talking about what's not going right. This is the only leadership recruitment process that we have in a democracy, where citizens have opportunity to cast their votes. And that's happening right here in front of all of us. And if you do that, you are able to reduce the arrogance of people in power. When they say, hey, we are your masters, you say, no, I put you in office. And the vote trading that being talked about, if we take that out, the arrogance of people in power will be complete. All right,
there seems to be yet another scenario playing out. It does look like we are right in the ocean of those activities, and the kind of scenario that is playing out. We do hope that this is how it started earlier today, and I do hope that this will not degenerate because few moments after that happened earlier on, we heard gunshots.
This is not happening in the polling area. So somebody who may not even, like Dean said, somebody who may not even have any business with what is happening here, the voting area, people are on queue who want to vote, somebody is somewhere generating, and that's the worry. Sometimes we are not able to separate those who have business.
The real actors and the non-actors. I mean, the non-real players.
People who are responsible, who have queued up, who want to cast their votes, do not know what they are doing. And that's the point about if the security agents are able to deal with that issue, people are already on queue.
All right. It seems to be some tantrums and some kind of disagreements that we're seeing, which I think the people of Ondo State are very sophisticated when it comes to political matters. They are very enthusiastic and they are very savvy also. They know what they want. They know how they want to go about it. And in this kind of situation, I just hope and pray that things do not degenerate. Let's get our attention back into line on what the real business is, and the fact that what we can see right here on our screens are the activities of people who are getting to vote and people who are getting themselves started in this exercise. It started at 8:30 a.m. and expected to close at 2:30 p.m. No matter how long the queue is, if you are on the queue or at 2:30 p.m., you will get to vote even when night falls. But largely, what we're saying right now is the fact that the exercise keeps continuing, and we are monitoring the compliance to some of the protocols that have been laid down. The queues may be long and tiring, but then it's getting thinner and thinner. So people have the opportunity where they can come and vote, but you necessarily don't have to go, but you can also stay behind. That's one policy that is interesting. You can wait behind and see how the process pans out. That's good, isn't it?
Yeah, it's fantastic. I think it shows that level of equity and equality that once you're on the queue by 2:30, what they will do that, and INEC staff will go to the back of the queue and stand there. And anybody who is in front of that INEC staff will vote. Even if it takes them up to 3 o'clock or 3:30, you will vote. But if you're behind INEC staff, you will vote. Now you will not vote. Now, this is the beauty of what I was about to say, and it's just happening. I've been saying, I've seen the elderly, I've seen the young, but I've not seen the disabled. And finally, what I want to talk about, equity and gender equality and disability equality. I'm seeing a disabled turning up to vote. So you that is at home, what is your excuse not to come and cast your vote? The disabled are here, the elderly are here, the aged are here, the young are here. Come out and vote. Ondo election is going on and it looks safe and secure. And before I hand over to you, Shehu, what happened before about the gunshot we heard before? Because of my background, I pay more attention. Now, what happened within the first 10 minutes of that gunshot? I saw the first patrol van pass by. And that is when it comes about response time of law enforcement agencies. We talk about anybody who responds within 10 minutes is fantastic. It's very rare in any part of the world to see 10 minutes response. And within 15 minutes, the second batch also responded. And this is why you have calm. So that response time of 10 minutes, 15 minutes is wonderful. I hope what we are seeing here, safety, security, disabled, the aged, is what is being replicated across Ondo State.
Yeah. The fact that this exercise gets started here on time on schedule. We got that kind of scampering too early for me. As far as it's not good news for me. The gunshot, I hope the gentleman that was involved is safe and secured, and hope that he recovers from the injury. We understand that he has suffered. But just before we close now, let me get your final thoughts on how these things is panning out. It's still in the early stage. It's too early to call, but so far it's looking good, isn't it?
Yeah, so we're going to pay a lot of attention to the results retention management systems that have been put in place by INEC thing. We want to see how they are able to manage promotion, because the confidence building process for citizens is literally not even around voting. It's about that solution area, and I'm happy that INEC is a bit more transparent about voting.
Okay.
Going forward, we can.
Vince, your final thoughts?
I would say thanks to Channels TV for giving a sense of real-life reportage of what's going on. It shows high level of media excellency. I would say well done to Channels TV, because to feel the energy of the people, the electorates, the INEC, the security agencies, and the media, wonderful. I think well done. We've seen the aged, we've seen the elderly, we've seen the disabled. So all I'm going to say is, let's push on. The good of Ondo State, the Sunshine State, is the good of the whole of Nigeria. It's a good job for the Channels TV. Well done.
Thank you so much, Vince Onyekwelu, a member of the International Human Rights Commission, election observer, of course. Is a very good friend who is a member of the board of YIAGA Africa. Thank you, gentlemen, for coming tonight. Channel Television, we are on the ground for you, the home for the news and your headquarters for election coverage as far as the nation and the continent is concerned. We're right here on the ground. We're not going anywhere. Sunrise will begin in a couple of minutes, and we're right in that program to give you updates. It's bye, at least for now.